What if you could automate your customer management system without writing a single line of code? In this video, I'll show you how to build a custom CRM using SmartSuite and Relay.app. Check it out. Welcome back. I'm Zack from InnerDev Solutions. We help businesses streamline their processes using custom no-code tools so you can focus on what matters most. To learn more, you can visit our website, InnerDevSolutions.com, or use the link in the description below. Before we start, if you find this content helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get more tutorials. You're going to need accounts for two different softwares at smartsuite.com and Relay.app. There's links in the description below for both of those, but let's jump right in. Once you have an account set up, we'll go in, add a new solution, and we will create from scratch. You can go up here and label your solution, select your color, and you can select an icon if you want. We're going to need 4 different tables to start. First thing I like to do is go in and clean up some of these fields, and then I'll duplicate this table 4 more times or 3 more times so that I don't have to go in and delete all of these fields on each table. Now that I've got the fields cleaned up, I can go into the table here and we will just duplicate this table. We'll label this one companies. Table 1 will be contacts, and we can update these records to contact. Go back into companies. We'll duplicate this table. We'll call this one deals, and we need a sales people or salesperson table. We can label this one deal, and you can see that it changes it here from new record to new deal, and it references this table and those records as deals rather than just records. Now that we have our 4 tables created, we can go in and add the fields that we need for each of these. We need things like name, phone number, email, and there's fields for each of those. Now in SmartSuite, there is a full name field type, but it doesn't always integrate nicely with some of the other tools. So what I usually do is just opt to pick this text option, and then I'll label this first name, and I'll duplicate it and create a last name. Add the email and the phone. You can add things like job title and lead source and those types of details, but I'm going to skip over it for this tutorial. I am going to add a status. We'll simply go active, and we can change the color of this one, make it red, and enter inactive. But obviously you can have a lot of other status values as well. I'm going to add a notes section. There's this text area, which you can add. It allows you to add multiple lines of data, but it's plain text. And you can also add in a smart doc as well. That's what I will do and call this notes. Now we have a bunch of fields set up here, but there's a few more that we need. Any contact will link to at least one company. And in our case, I'm just going to make sure that it can only be set up for one company. Contact, we could also have that linked to a deal, and contact will also link to a salesperson in this tutorial. Quickly go in, search the linked record, and I will select a company. And this option here, allow linking to multiple records. We only want to link to one. So I'll turn that on, and it's added that linked field here. And if I go into companies, fields to display, we can see it also added a link to contacts in the companies table. I'm going to do the same thing for both deals and salespeople. Now in this case, we're going to allow linking to multiple records because any contact could in theory have multiple deals. Add that, and we'll do another linked record to the salespeople this time. We will only allow linking to one salesperson. Change this to contact ID, and we can go auto-generated, and we will bring in the first name. We'll bring in the last name, and we can also bring in the auto number that gets created for us so that it provides a unique identification for each contact. I will go to companies. There's a lot of information that can be added on the specific company. I'm going to keep things relatively simple. So first thing I want to do is change this to company name, and we'll leave this as manual input, and the require entries to be unique. We'll leave that checked as well. I can add in a couple example companies. We could also add in website, industry, company size. Those types of details are probably important to a lot of different businesses. But again, for this tutorial, we're not going to worry about that type of information. One thing we do want to do is we want to link a company to a deal. We already have a company linked to contacts because we created that on the contact table, automatically creates it for us on the company table. We can go to a linked record and we will select a deal here. And same thing, we will allow linking to multiple records or multiple deals. You may want to link a company to a specific salesperson. In this case, I'm not going to worry about it. If we want to, we can roll up or look up the salespeople that are linked to the same contacts here. I'll quickly add that in. We'll do a lookup field. We're going to look at the link to contacts record field, which is this one here. And the lookup field that we are going to do is simply the salesperson. And we can add this field. Go to fields to display. We'll bring in the companies. We'll bring in the contacts. And we're actually going to add a link to a specific salesperson because although we are assigning salespeople to the specific contact, if a salesperson on our team leaves, we do want to have record of who the salesperson was that looked after a specific deal, looking back in time. Use another linked record. And again, we'll select salespeople. And per deal, we're only going to allow one salesperson to look after each individual deal. Now we'll add a text field, call this one deal name. We'll bring in a deal value. We're going to use a currency field in this case. Label this deal value. I'm going to add a status field and label it stage so that we can see the stage of the deal. And maybe we'll start with new and we'll click defaults here and make sure any new deal that's created, it will automatically go to the default status of new. And qualified proposal will have closed won, add in closed lost. You can add an expected close date, a notes field, or anything else that's important to you based on the specific deal. Add in a deal ID. We'll make it auto-generated, and we're going to bring in the company name, which exists in the link to companies. We'll bring in the deal name, and we'll also bring in the auto ID to make sure that it's all unique. Now we move on to salespeople. We'll go fields to display, and we'll bring in the contacts, the deals. We'll add in a text field. This is going to be the sales first name. We'll add in a last name. Of course, you could add in an email, phone number, any of those details as well. Last thing, the primary key or ID here, we will just add in full name, or you could also add salesperson ID, which might be a better title and name here. And we'll bring in the first name and the last name and update that. Now we have our SmartSuite solution built out. This is our full CRM. And I'm going to quickly add in some sample data here. I've got a couple of contacts, a couple of companies, a couple of deals set up, and my list of salespeople. In this tutorial, I'm not going to show you how to receive and intake a lot of this contact and lead data. I have plenty of different tutorials across my channel that demonstrate different options for that. Go check out some of those videos because there is ways to use forms to intake leads and company data, or if you receive leads by email to automate those types of workflows. Again, I've got lots of options out there for you. When a new lead comes in, we're going to use round robin type of lead assignment based off of our list of salespeople here. When a new lead comes into our system, however that happens, we're going to look at the next person in line to be able to get added to that specific lead. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a moment. But there is something that we need to set up. Go into salespeople. We're going to add a number field and we'll call this round robin index. We can add this field in order. I'm just going to add in 1, 2, and 3. You can use a Google Sheet, but in this case, I'm just going to create another blank table. Call it pointer. We can delete a lot of these fields that are unnecessary for this use case. We're just going to have title or whatever you want to call it, And this is going to be a number field. Add a record and label it as pointer. And because we already have a couple deals assigned to Zack as a salesperson in this use case, we want the next one in line to be Ann. And that's a round robin index of 2. We'll set that as 2 as our starting point, and we can go from there. We need another number field. Label this number of salespeople. In our case, there's 3 salespeople. We'll enter that in there. And in reality, this is actually going to be the number of active salespeople, and we might want a status of active and inactive on our salespeople as well, because it is possible that they will leave the company or move to a different position, and you'll still want to track some of that data. But in our case, we will keep it simple. The last thing that we're going to do in SmartSuite for now, I'll add in one more lead. Now we can go into Relay. Again, if you don't have an account, link in the description below. We'll go create a new workflow, and we will add a trigger. SmartSuite as my trigger. I'll select that, and we'll do when a new record is added. You'll have to select your table. So you'll have to select your workspace, then your solution, and now the table. And the filter is going to be if a salesperson is not assigned, if salesperson field is empty. And we can see here that's left us with this Jen Thomas, which is correct. What we want to do is find the pointer so that we can get our number of the next person in line. Add a step, which is going to be SmartSuite. We will find a record in the pointer table, the first matching record, because there's only ever going to be one based off of the title, and the title of the record, which is here, is just pointer. If no record is found, it's going to fail, and we can give this a test. And we can see here that it's found the pointer record with the number set as 2 and the total number of salespeople set as 3. Find the salesperson that corresponds with that number. We'll search up SmartSuite, find a record in our salespeople table. And the records to return is going to be the first matching record, because there should only be one. We're going to identify the record by the round robin index, and we want to make sure that it's equal to the pointer in step 2 here, which is in the number field. If no records are found, we want it to fail. Give this a test, and it should come back with Ann as our salesperson. We'll go SmartSuite, update record, and the record that we're going to update is the contact. That's the first step. And the field to populate is simply going to be the salesperson. We're going to set it to the person that we just found, or the salesperson that we just found in step 3. We can look at the object from step 3. Not going to worry about testing this step. We'll test it in full shortly. Now that we've assigned the salesperson to the contact, we need to update the pointer so that we know the next time that a lead gets added to our solution, that it needs to go to our third salesperson. Go in here to the utilities. We're going to transform data, and we are going to label this update pointer. We'll select a variable, which is going to be from step 2, the number that we've got. The operation is going to be add, and we're just going to increment it by 1. We can hit done. On this case, it got the second salesperson. We're going to update it to 1, and then we need to update the pointer. We're actually going to add in a path because there's 2 different routes that we're going to want to go. So let's say we're on our third and final salesperson and it increments to 4. We want to actually reset that number so that we're starting back at 1, because at this point in time, we do not have a 4th salesperson. So we're going to create a path. We'll label the first one next in line, and this we'll just label as restart. Next in line, the path rules are going to be if the data, the update pointer number, is equal to, or actually we're going to use this less than or equal to the pointer number of salespeople. Basically, as long as that number that has been increased by 1 is equal to or less than our total number of salespeople, then it will update the number to the next number line. And you'll see what that looks like here in a moment. We'll add a step. We're going to add in another SmartSuite step, which is going to be update record. We're going to choose the record to update, which is in step 2 here from the pointer, update the field, update the number, and the number is going to be based on this date pointer. Now, on the other path, we could leave this as is, because if this wasn't true, then it would automatically go this route. But I'm just going to show you how to set this up. We want rules match. We're going to add a rule. If the update pointer number is greater than the number of salespeople, we want it to go down this path. We'll add a step in SmartSuite, update record, the pointer from step 2, and the number. We're going to enter this manually because we just want it to restart from 1. I'm going to give this a full test run. We're going to test it on this Jen Thomas, and we will hit start test run, and you'll see it go through each step. Get selected path A, which is next in line. If I go to contacts, scroll across to Jen Thomas, we can see that she was added as the salesperson. She was number 2. Bob is number 3, and we can go pointer. It shows as 3. If I go back into contacts, add in one more contact, we'll flip back to Relay. We're going to run this workflow again based on Ron Frost, and we'll create the test run. And again, once you enable this, anytime a new contact is added, this will run automatically for you. We can see that it's went to path B restart for the pointer. But if I scroll across, I added Bob. And if we go to the pointer, we can see it's been reset to 1. Quickly show you one additional workflow that can be built in Relay. And that's going to be a simple report that we'll send to our salespeople at maybe the start of each week or the start of each month, something along those lines to just show active deals. I'll add in an additional deal or 2 just so you can see what it looks like for each of our salespeople. I've got 4 different deals in here. I've got qualified, 2 with proposal sent, and a closed 1. In this case, what I want the report to do is only pick up active deals. That's going to be the qualified, proposal sent, and the other proposal sent. It's going to ignore closed 1 or closed lost is the other option. In Relay, we'll create a new workflow, and we're going to add a trigger. This is going to be weekly sales report. The trigger is going to be on a schedule in this case, and we're going to start multiple runs on a schedule because we want to create a run for each salesperson. We'll select our app, which is going to be SmartSuite, based on our records, the salesperson table. I'm just going to trigger this run for all records, but this is where you could go in and only trigger runs for records that match a filter. There's 3 salespeople in the preview here. We could choose every Monday at a specific time. And if you want it to repeat weekly, monthly, whatever, you can choose that as well. Now, the send email is going to be the last step. You could actually just jump right in and send the email here and unroll all of the deals, but there's no way that you can filter out the inactive deals going that route. So we've got the send email, but we're actually going to add a step in between, and it's going to be a SmartSuite find records. We've got our table selected, which is deals, and we are going to go with all matching records in a list. We're going to add a filter, and the filter is going to be the link to sales people, and it has to be linked to the record that started this trigger. So we'll select that. If no records are found, we're going to fail, but it should. And we also want to make sure that the stage is going to be one of the following: new, qualified, proposal sent, and we're going to leave out closed 1 and closed lost. So we want to send an email to the salesperson. If we had an email field, that would be best. And then we would go to option 1 here and select the email field. I'm just going to send it to myself for testing purposes. Weekly sales update. And if you want to add in the week or the date, we can add that. And in the body, you can write whatever you want. Here's your weekly sales update. Please review. We're just going to go into the data. We're going to go to the second step here, and we're going to unroll the list, which is going to be a bulleted list we use in this case. I'm going to hit the @ symbol, and then we can unroll the data from the deals record. So we'll bring in the deal name, separate it with a dash. We're going to unroll the deal value, separate it with a dash again, and we'll bring in the stage. Start a test run. Once you enable this, and if it's weekly on every Monday morning, it will trigger and fire for all of your salespeople, but we're just doing a test run. So I have to select an example record, start the run. We can see it sent me an email, weekly sales update, says the deal name, the value, and the stage. Maybe be helpful also to add in the company name, but that's how you structure that type of simple report using Relay. That's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more tutorials in the future.